ChatTalent.
Today we're going to look at the biggest fails in online recruitment and how to avoid them. Here's a quick glance at some of the content of today's webinar. Let's first discuss what online recruitment is and why is it relevant for the modern day recruiter. We can then go into the dangers of messing up. What are the consequences of doing it wrong, or even worse, not doing it at all? We can then look at some examples of what not to do, covering boring banners, annoying videos, weak job descriptions, terrible landing pages, and awful application processes. Before we start grilling some bad online recruitment marketing, let's first look at what online recruitment marketing actually is. So the world has changed for recruiters. The online marketplace for candidates has become more and more crowded, and only the most up-to-date recruiters are able to stand out from the crowd. These are recruiters who understand their candidates and how they operate online, and are able to communicate their company's message aligned with this. Online marketing strategies can help recruiters improve the way we communicate with candidates and increase the amount of quality applicants that we receive. With the best candidates off the market within as little as 10 days, we need to make sure that we focus on candidates from the very first time they encounter your brand. With candidates online 24/7, with access to thousands of different channels, chances are they're going to encounter your brand for the first time online. With social media, everything that is on there can and will be critiqued. So how do you put this into practice? When it comes to advertising, whether it's products or recruitment, you should apply the AIDA model. If you want to get potential candidates to apply, you have to pull them through various stages. First, your target audience has to know your organization. This is the awareness level. The expression in this stage is primarily aimed at an organizational level. So what is it like to work for your company? Can they already take a look inside the offices? Do they give them a feeling that, it's an interesting place to actually work? Next, the target audience interests has to be provoked, and that's the interest level. So what is relevant for them? Is it an IT candidate? What IT opportunities do you have? What is it like for an IT person to work there? Eventually, this interest has to be converted into a desire to join your organization. The final goal is to convince your audience to take action and apply. Where can they do this? To guide this whole process, a target audience has to be confronted with multiple so-called touch points. These touch points can be created by using the right online recruitment channels. So now you've seen the flow candidates may take from learning about your company and opportunities right through to making a decision to apply. It's now up to you to set out an action plan to engage your audience and give them a positive impression of you as an employer. Here you can see how a company may set out their content on different channels online to help bring a candidate through a journey to apply. It's really important that you align the right content with the right channels. So here we see YouTube, Google Display, and social media at the start of the journey. This will be mainly focused on awareness level, giving people an idea of what your company is like and give them a positive impression. Second, we see more niche websites. So more websites like Smashing Magazine, which is more tailored towards IT candidates, so developers and designers. This will make them give them an idea that your company is relevant for them. Next, you'll go through to Indeed and job site and actually see a vacancy that's open for them. And eventually they will land on your career site and apply. So it sounds quite simple, right? And what could possibly go wrong? Well, here is what it could mean for your recruitment when you mess up. So as the job market continues to favor the applicant, with many companies competing to hire from very scarce and limited talent pools, employers need to be more strategic in making a positive, lasting impression online. To attract top talent in a competitive talent economy, it's more important than ever to have a strong online recruitment strategy. Getting this wrong can lead to limited exposure within your desired target audience, the wrong company image, or even worse, a bad reputation, a high bounce rate on your landing page, limited time spent on your careers page, a high drop-off rate during the online application process, and ultimately, all of the above will result in fewer high-quality applicants. Right, now that's the theory done, let's get into some actual good and bad practices. Before we talk about any specific content, like banners or videos, let's start with the step before that, choosing the right channels to advertise on. Let's face it, spending tons of time, money, and effort on crafting a perfect job advertisement is completely wasted when you're putting it in front of the wrong audience. Every role you have has a very specific target audience who will behave differently online to other roles. For example, a marketer will browse across very different channels than that of a software developer. So posting and praying is the old school way of working. This can leave you filtering through relevant applications, or more likely, looking at no applications at all. So, some tips and tricks to look at for candidate behavior. This mainly includes doing your research. Firstly, on your target audience. These are the people you would call your perfect candidate. Who are they? What sites do they visit regularly? Speak with your current top performers in your company and you'll get a good understanding of this. Get them to be honest as well. Although they probably don't want to tell you about the sites that they're browsing while they should be doing work, this is actually really important information for you as a recruiter. Data also plays a big part in this. Are you already tracking the results from your paid advertisements? If not, you should be. So let's say you found the perfect website that you know is full of potential talent that could be a fit for your open roles. The only thing is, it's not a job board. In this case, choosing to advertise your career opportunities via banner ads is a great way to generate curiosity. That is, if they're done right. The text on the example to the left is not clear at all. There are almost 5 points with text, and they all have different levels of transparency. Compare this to the banners on the right, and you can see one clear question with few keywords. Much better for the user. Also, with the banner to the left, the call to action is "let's talk," which is a pretty vague term. Is someone really going to call them, or do they even want that? The color blue chosen for the buttons also blends in with the shirt and logo, which doesn't stand out at all. On the right-hand side, the orange button is very crisp, and they've used the appropriate call to action for this stage of the candidate journey, which is to discover more. You should use words like learn more, because this is probably what the candidate actually wants to do at this stage. So, some tips and tricks for banner advertisements. With banner ads, there are some simple tips to remember, and that's create a clear and simple message. If they have to guess the meaning, you're doing it wrong. Think about the positioning of the logos and calls to action buttons. Clarity is key. Avoid negative words such as don't, wrong, bad, as these will give your audience a negative feeling towards your brand. So one very effective way to distribute your banner ads online is via the Google Display Network. However, it blew up in the news a few months back that a number of big brands were pulling their videos from YouTube as Google were unable to ensure their ads won't appear next to some rather offensive content. You can't really blame them. Would you want your careers videos showing up on some dodgy hate websites just because Google's algorithm deems the audience to be within your set criteria? Probably not. The example on the left isn't exactly recruitment related, but you can see the point being made. This company got caught out with their cruise ship advertisements being posted on a video of the Concordia sinking. You probably want to avoid mistakes like this. In all fairness, Google have now spotlighted the issue, and when Google says it's going to crack down on something, it generally happens. They've already claimed that they've improved their software by about 5 times so that more videos that it wants to keep away from advertisers will be flagged. So one way to take action yourself is to avoid this happening, is to begin excluding categories that you don't want your ads appearing on. For example, politics and adult content. And this can all be done on the dashboard that you can see on the right-hand side image when you're setting up your Google ad displays campaigns. So one of, if not the most popular medium for reaching candidates right now is social media. And it's heavily involved in the majority of candidate journeys to apply. But many companies are still getting it wrong on so many levels. We need to remember why people use social media and what they expect to see content-wise. First of all, people don't go to Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to search for jobs. So using your account to only post links to open roles is wasting the potential of the platform. I'm not telling you to start posting cat memes, but you can start posting interesting content that your audience will find useful. Articles, images, videos, this is what the people want to see. At this stage, you're simply strengthening your employer brand. So who are you trying to recruit? And what would they be interested in knowing about your company? One company that are getting it completely right is Vodafone. If you check out their Facebook feed, it's mainly content on an awareness level. So for example, here you can see an article about Meet Emma, the customer experience manager. This will give people an insight into what it's like to work in that role from the point of view of someone who is working that role. This is interesting for people to learn. And although they might not apply right now, if they come across your role later, they'll have something to remember your role by and will be more likely to apply. Some key tips to remember with social media: engage your audience in a meaningful way, create valuable content, and you'll start to build a good following. Don't use social media as a job board or as a careers page. I'm not saying to not post jobs there, but make sure that that's not the only thing you're doing. Create a content plan at your own pace. Not everyone has a content writer at their disposal, but you can start off small and it will build up. You can always reuse content later on. So video, when used right, is the best way to give your audience an authentic feeling for what your company is like to work for and to attract attention. It's becoming the main go-to medium for content on Facebook nowadays. Used wrong, and you can end up going viral for all the wrong reasons. Let's take a look at two videos. The first is a government recruitment video.
I'm so stoked for our presentation to the executive this afternoon. It's been a massive challenge, but definitely looking forward to it.
Hey guys, I'm just heading downstairs for my paleo pear and banana bread. Would you like to join me?
No, thanks. It's a little bit fancy for me. I'm actually off to an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Stuff Network meeting.
Okay, then see you. So how are you finding the program?
Pretty great, to be honest. I've been here less than a year and I never thought that I'd be working on a project supporting the modern.
Okay, let's put the bad acting and script to one side for a second. We stopped this video at just over 40 seconds, and the only thing we could really take away was that she was going to have paleo pear and banana bread for lunch. I don't even know what that is. Keep your video short and to the point, and if it doesn't feel authentic, then don't release it. Next up is a video by tech company Exact. Okay, so the first obvious difference is that they've opted for no voiceover and only music. The second is that it's wrapped up in almost 30 seconds. This is an ideal length for today's online attention span. You might be thinking that the second video requires a bigger investment in budget and time, but that's not actually true. A decent camera and some basic video editing software will get you the same result. So, tips for video include: think about the goal you want to achieve with the video. This will determine how long it should be and what to include. For example, if the goal is to show what it's like to work for your company, this can be kept short to like 30 seconds. If you want to show engineers what it's like to work on a project, this can be a little longer, as you know there's more of a relevance to the audience. But remember to keep the video authentic. It doesn't matter if your employees are not born for the screen. People prefer real people over actors anyway. So it's super important to remember that not everyone coming to your careers page is already 100% sold on your company and wants to apply. Keeping a potential candidate engaged at this stage is crucial, and companies that fail to do this will miss out on a lot of great candidates. When candidates arrive via a Google search or from an article, banner, or any other type of marketing, they most likely don't want to see a page with a list of open roles. The landing page we see on the left doesn't give me any inspiration or feeling of what the company is like, apart from the 4 lines of text. The roles are listed below, but to be honest, if I'm only curious, the site hasn't done enough to convince me to click on any of them. The site on the right hand provides the user with a lot of value. There are clear links to other sections, including open roles, upcoming events, and insights into different departments. The main aim of this landing page is for the user to discover more, and this is clear from the first image you see on the screen. The option to actually ask them a question at the top is a really great addition that improves the candidate experience by a lot. Some key tips to help you begin turning website visitors into applicants includes making it easy for visitors to find what they're looking for. Having lots of links can have your users getting lost and dropping off. Look at the different target groups you're trying to attract. If, for example, you're going to be hiring a lot of IT candidates over the year, create a dedicated section to IT and use that space to add value specifically to that focus group. Make sure that there is something for everyone, whether this is more information on company culture, projects, or the open roles. Get your content in line with this. Will put yourself in the shoes of your candidates and ask yourself, am I getting value from what I'm experiencing? Try to communicate your story. Remember, candidates these days have a lot of options and are basically in the driving seat. You need to offer as much value as possible. So let's first look at one form of marketing content that every company hiring will do, and that's job descriptions. Writing a good job description is an art of its own. Let's face it, if you're a company with a large recruitment need, you can't spend hours on every vacancy you have sculpting a masterpiece. But when you're facing a challenging target audience, it pays to think about how your job description can stand out from the crowd. We seem to forget that job advertisements are called advertisements for a reason. You're there to grab attention. So when I see a job description that reads like a long chore list, like the example on the left, it completely loses its appeal. A recent trend companies tried using to stand out from the crowd was giving their jobs job titles such as Director of Happiness or Guru. Creating job titles can be a lot of fun and do stand out, but you have to also keep it relevant and findable. If potential candidates cannot find your job ad, you won't have much success. Other tips to remember when writing a vacancy text: use Google Trends to guide you with keywords for your job titles, but also to include within your text. Now that you have a good job title, you can start outlining what exactly makes this job appealing to potential candidates. In other words, what are the USPs of your job description? In case you find this too challenging, Feel free to ask your colleagues for their input. First, ask them what they find most challenging about their daily job, but also verify on what it's like, what they like most about it. The same model that we used to guide all of our marketing efforts, the AIDA model, can be used to create the main body of your text in your vacancies. Whenever you're finished, refer back to this model and double check. So, the application process. We've already touched upon the candidate journey and candidate experience, but now I want to talk about the final hurdle, which is the actual application process. What is the point in spending so much time fine-tuning your recruitment marketing strategy and your career site only for candidates to get an application process similar to that of a university essay? Candidates are starting to develop negative opinions about companies with bad application processes. Nowadays, if the application process takes too long, candidates start to feel like it was a mistake to waste their time applying in the first place, when they could have applied somewhere else. These bad feelings can lead to poor company image ratings and bad publicity, none of which you want trying to attract top quality talent. With 60% of candidates now viewing job opportunities on mobile devices, providing a mobile optimized application process is now a bare minimum requirement. There are many ways companies can shorten their application process, such as cutting out unnecessary questions, but the most efficient way of collecting a candidate's details is by implementing social media quick apply buttons. Okay, you might want to get some really important, more detailed information from them, but first you just want to get their basic information. Following that, you can put a second round of questions in, which then you can gather some more detailed information. So other changes you can begin to implement yourself to improve your candidate application process include just putting it to the test. Try applying yourself and have your colleagues try. What was their feedback? Being mobile friendly. Don't have candidates drop off because they're trying to apply on their mobile devices. If you're determined to have your candidates register or sign up to apply, at least let them pre-fill some basic data via their social media accounts. Another very simple yet rarely implemented part of the candidate application process is communication. Clarify the steps from start to finish. If an application process is going to take 15 minutes, let them know that they need to have 15 minutes available. Them getting halfway through, then realizing that they don't have the time or they have to go somewhere else is very frustrating for a candidate. So now most people would think that the online recruitment and marketing finishes once you've got a candidate to actually apply. This is actually no longer the case. In the demand for providing the best candidate experience, reaching new heights, companies are now more than ever looking at how they treat candidates once they've actually applied. So when you purchase an item online, companies make it a priority that you're informed along the whole process post-purchase. This should be the exact same for candidates. The part of the job that nobody enjoys is the rejection of candidates. This sucks all around. But we should see this not as a loss, but as an opportunity. Candidates that don't fit right now may be a star in the future. By letting them know they didn't make it in an impersonal way, will make them less likely to engage with you again. Most companies are sitting on huge talent pools of past applicants. However, if you haven't contacted them in years, you're most likely completely out of mind. Keep these people engaged by adding value to them. Create relevant email content and you'll consistently be top of mind. If you're still keeping all of your past applicants in an Excel sheet somewhere, stop it. There are plenty of different ATS vendors out there that will give you this functionality to keep talent pools and to also engage with your talent pools. So, well, Rome wasn't built in a day, and it's true that these best practices are ever changing. So it's important to keep up to date. However, once you have a recruitment strategy in place, you can expect to see a vast exposure within your desired target audience, a strong image and good reputation, possibly even ambassadors for the future, low bounce rates on your landing pages, high engagement with your content and careers page, and a low drop-off rate during the application process. And all of this will ultimately lead to more high-quality applicants. So we've looked at a lot of different examples today of where recruiters occasionally fall short during the online recruitment process. One thing we need to note is that failing is completely fine, as long as we learn from it. One way of making sure you're not making the same mistakes again is to become data-driven. This means tracking your own recruitment metrics and marketing efforts using Google Analytics. Making use of the data readily available online. For example, using Google Trends to find the most searched for job titles, or using VONQ to search for the most effective recruitment channels based on past campaign data. And tools like SimilarWeb give you a great understanding of where a website gets their traffic sources from. Speak with your candidates and learn from them. Feedback is essential in creating a fail-proof online candidate experience. So that's it. Thanks everyone for joining today.